this brings up the Washington Post article. They twist things, and it's ridiculous. Now, fair warning, I knew it. This is from my locals page. I'm about to have an interview with Washington Post. It feels like I'm about to dance with the devil. Oh, man. All the comments are, careful. They will selectively edit your interview. They will never be honest. Demand your own copy of the raw interview. Good luck. Secretly record the whole thing. Oh, yeah, I recorded it. Of course I did. You know, I've sat right here and had my microphones live. I had it on speakerphone. I recorded it. I know what I said. I know how they spun it. Oh, man. Let's get into it, shall we? May I present to you my first hit piece. Eroding trust, spreading fear, the historical ties between pandemics and extremism? You see any extremists here out there? You see any extremists? Would you consider me an extremist? Someone who's very against violence, someone who's very against racism on both sides, because as far as I'm concerned, there's more racists on the far left than on the right, as they like to claim. Yeah, someone who is against the people going into the Capitol building. I don't want violence. Someone who is absolutely for transparency, that's extreme. Oh man, you know what? I gotta read this to you. It gets good. Ready? This is from Mark Fisher. Adam Krigler. You know, there's something good about the fact that it just starts with my name. That's right. That's my name right there in a Washington Post article. Anyway, listen to this. Ready? Adam Krigler used to feed his YouTube following a politics-free diet of chatter about aliens, movies, skateboarding, and video games. Then came the pandemic. Now he devotes much of his talk show to his assertion that mask mandates are an assault on personal freedom. What? I never said that. When do I talk about that? He asked me, I have the interview recorded. He asked me, do you think that masks are an attack, an assault on personal freedom? I said, I'm sure some people feel that way. I wear a mask when I go into stores. I don't mind. But he didn't put that in there. He just made it seem like this is what my show is about. Oh, it gets better. And that Democrats somehow stole the 2020 election from Donald Trump. Result? A much bigger audience. Really? Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Somehow? Okay, the Times article came out where they straight up said they rigged it. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Fortified the election. Somehow stole it? I never said that they stole it. I just want transparency. I just talk about the voter fraud that I did see. The actual videos of them counting the ballots over and over again. Savannah was on my show and she was like, wow, I can't believe you even said voter fraud. Like, props to you. And I'm like, okay, well, it existed. We saw it. Dead people did vote. We have proof of that. Thousands of people registered to vote in one household, illegally. All right. And a result from that is a much bigger audience. My audience shot up from the Timcast show, from me starting my own show, from people just following me over. Which was in August. August. Keep that in mind as we keep reading. This is a quote from me. The pandemic has made more people want to blame someone else because they've lost their jobs or they're lonely, Krigler said. I did say that. That is, in fact, something I did say. And it sounds like something I would say, correct? Yeah, because I did say it. People they're alone in their houses. They're not allowed to go out. They're on the internet more. They're angry. Oh man, it's good. So now he clearly interviews multiple people. Well, I'm going to read the whole thing because I want full context, right? Ian Bain, for years a campaign professional, had swarmed off politics and launched a career in real estate. Then COVID hit. He helped launch No Mask Nevada, organizing a dozen rallies against masking because he said the government was inflating the dangers of coronavirus. People are, see, right off the bat, he's adding more, I don't know, fear porn to this anti-mask story that he's trying to imply that I'm somehow anti-mask. I'm not anti-mask. I wear a mask. I went shopping today. I wore a mask. I flew across the country to vote. I wore a mask. I have no problem with wearing a mask. When you start telling me to wear two masks, it's getting a little ridiculous. When you tell me to stay inside, when you tell me when I'm driving on the interstate by myself in my car because it's federal property, I need to wear a mask. Okay, I get a little suspicious, all right? I start to question. I'm allowed to question because I'm an American citizen, all right? I participated in this election. I voted. I pay my taxes. I'm allowed to question things. Anyway, but just notice how he's framing that. People are isolated, alone. This is a quote from Ian. They need to express their true selves. I don't know why we're surprised that there's more extremism now. People came to our rallies because they craved human interaction. Yeah, they don't mention the extremism on the other side, do they? No. But let's keep it moving. Since ancient times, pandemics have spurred sharp turns in political beliefs, spawning extremist movements and waves of mistrust and wholesale rejection of authority. Nearly a year into the coronavirus crisis, Americans are falling prey to the same phenomenon. Historians, theologians, and other experts say, exemplified by a recent NPR IPSOS poll in which nearly 1 in 5 people say they believe Satan-worshipping, child-enslaving elites seek to control the world. Of course, he drops some QAnon stuff. Now, he even asked me, he's like, do you think that there is a rise of extremism? And I said, yeah, it seems like it because of the advent of the internet. People are able to be connected. They get brought into these little bubbles because of algorithms that force them into little bubbles, right? And then they find groups that they find similar people where you weren't able to before. It's a natural occurrence of the internet. Anyway, I don't think he actually put my response to that question in here, but as shutdowns paralyzed the economy in the first months of the pandemic, Americans sharply increased searches for extremism and white supremacist materials online, according to Moonshot CVE, a research firm that studies extremism. The United States was not the only country affected. A British study found that the pandemic boosted radicalization globally as people found more time to delve into extreme arguments. See, this is what he's not getting here. I've seen significantly more extremism on the far left, billions of dollars of damage, burning small businesses, burning down, robbing people, looting. What's the difference? Robbing, looting, they're still doing it, okay? We're not seeing that on the right. Where is the extreme movements, the people that are extreme on the right side? It's all these far leftists that are whipping people into an emotional frenzy to call, they're literally being the extremists. Sorry, I have to keep moving though. New insecurities and fears loosed by the pandemic fed into an existing erosion of trust in leaders and institutions, according to those who have studied how people react to rampant, uncontrolled disease. Some of these insecurities predated the pandemic. Many of those arrested at the Capitol riot owned businesses or worked white-collar jobs, and a Washington Post analyst of public records found that nearly 60% of the people facing charges had prior money troubles, including bankruptcies and unpaid taxes. Yeah, they were also working for the FBI. There was also BLM actors that were wearing Trump gear. We have the proof. They actually proved it, and they're CNN. They were on CNN that same night. People that were inciting. It's on video of them inciting violence inside the Capitol. Who's the extremist? Washington Post. His Washington Post analyst obviously didn't do a very good job of looking at all the truth of what was really going down. Between the economic wallop and the disease's lethal punch, COVID-19 has reminded Americans of their own mortality. I would argue that's a good thing. People should recognize that they're mortal. They don't live forever and should cherish the things that they have. And a sense of social dislocation as a loss of confidence in all institutions, said Richard Land, president of the Southern Evangelical Seminary outside Charlotte and a longtime evangelical leader. The result, he said, is a surge of extremism on the right and on the left, including widespread embrace of counterfactual versions of current events. Wow. They got him to at least said it's on the left also. Good for you, Mark Fisher. Good for you. So proud of you. In a healthy society, the government and the church would say, this is nonsense, and the people would believe them, Land said. But during the pandemic, he said, that check on extreme impulses has failed for some people who crave connection with others. God created us as social creatures, and when we isolate from other human beings, we tend to malfunction. Well, why did they close down the churches? They should have allowed people to go to church. It's actually in the Constitution, isn't it? Yeah. And again, remember, who was the most extreme? Who were the ones who were being extremist? It's the people on the far left burning stuff down. I'm not calling for extremism. I can't stand it. I can't stand these people that are fighting each other when it's the elites in charge that are spinning the web of everything and pulling the strings. So over the past year, the pandemic was a constant undercurrent as Americans took to the streets to protest racial injustice, police brutality, and President Biden's victory in the 2020 election. As much as they were motivated by the causes themselves, many who participated in street actions were probably also eager for human contact, according to psychologists who studied the effects of social isolation. That makes sense, sure. By that view, the January 6th attack on the Capitol was both an insurrection plot and an impromptu meetup. Oh my goodness. An assault on the infrastructure of American democracy and social gathering for people who believe they were defending their idea of nationhood. No one believes that. The people that went inside were idiots. They were smoking doobies. They didn't know what they were doing. Half the people didn't even know why they were in there. They just were like, oh, we're going inside now. Oh, I don't condone going inside that Capitol. I thought they ruined the chance to present the actual evidence of any sort of voter fraud, which is what we would have seen. In fact, because they went in there, they ruined that whole thing. So the senators who were trying to counteract what was going on, the vote, and present evidence, they couldn't anymore. Then they went, well, now that there's been this thing, we can't do that and we can't present any of this evidence. We're just going to go through with the votes. Like, all those people that went in there, that pisses me off. Like, they ruined that. And that's frustrating, especially because there was actors that we've seen and proven on the extreme left side to try to instigate. The guy was standing in the hallway telling the officers to get out of the way before Ashley Babbitt got killed. That is an extreme move. And that was not anyone on the right side. Ridiculous. In the wake of COVID-19, it appears that far-right extremists have discovered the extent of people's fear of social control and loss of liberty and have realized how easily they can manipulate citizens who may not normally subscribe to extreme ideology. Wow. I'm speechless. University of Maryland social psychologist Ari Kruglansky concluded in a recent study on the link between COVID and extremism. Jeez. The pandemic undermines trust in government and science to curb the spread of disease. Whoa. I'm sorry. No. You're not going to cite science right now. You want to talk about science when Trump was actually right about hydroxychloroquine? The CDC walked it back. They're like, actually, it's safe. It's actually not that bad. We've been using it for years, so it's actually okay. So people could have, they've been blaming him for 400,000 deaths. Like, it's Trump's fault. Well, what about the 40% of deaths that were all in the nursing homes in the 5 different states where the government sent diseased people into the nursing homes and killed a bunch of people? That's science too, but they don't want to talk about that. That's ridiculous. That's fear-mongering, talking about the facts. Is that fear-mongering when I'm saying this is actually what happened? I'm not trying to cause extremism. I'm just calling people out for doing a terrible job at being leaders, lying to the American public. That's what I'm doing over here. With many houses of worship, schools, and workplaces closed for so much of the past year, millions have sought community online. Some found and adopted baseless fantasies about conspiracies in government and among the nation's elite, election fraud, the QAnon theories about malign deep state, false assertions of blame for the origins of the coronavirus. Whoa. Okay, instead of deep state, should we use shadow cabal, like the Times magazine article that straight up said that, yeah, this shadow cabal actually changed rules, manipulated, and used every facet that they could to fortify the election. All right, I'm not a QAnonist, all right? I didn't partake in QAnon, all right? I knew about it, sure, because I'm on the internet every day researching stuff, so of course I'm aware of it. Don't put me in that group, that category, because I like facts. All right, I follow logic and facts. I cross-reference stuff. All right, a lot of the stuff that they were spewing, I didn't believe it. Election fraud, though, I saw the evidence myself. I saw the video. There's video evidence of the woman in Georgia counting the same ballots 4 times. Hello, they weren't wrong. In New Hampshire, they just found out that 6% of across the board, every single Republican candidate lost 6%, and it went to the Democratic candidate. That's coming out after the fact. 2020 was a perfect storm, says John Fia, a historian at Messiah University, an evangelical Christian school at Mechanicsburg, PA. You had many evangelicals believing that this strongman president was protecting them from secularization. You had this belief in a God-ordained president who was not doing anything against the pandemic, who was feeding this "don't tell me to wear a mask" attitude. It's an incredibly explosive mix that led to the January 6th. It's always about the January 6th attack. My goodness. It was not an attack. It's so ridiculous. Antifa was trying to burn down a courthouse for 100 days in a row, assaulting it, throwing Molotovs every single night. How is that not an attack? How do they not condemn that? It's insane. Bain, goes back to Bain here, had worked in electoral politics for years, but thought he'd left that phase of his life behind. Before the pandemic, he was in real estate and attending online law school, and he went back to activism after the virus. I would not be involved in politics if it wasn't for COVID, said Bain, vice chair of No Mask Nevada. As the virus spread, he became convinced that COVID wasn't terribly dangerous. Pardon me, that the shutdowns and mask orders amounted to the government power grab, and that Americans finally were being liberated to speak openly about their suspicions of powerful elites. You mean like the cabal that the Times article admitted because they want credit for what they were doing? They straight up said, we want people to know what we did. We fortified the election. Bain said his 72-year-old mother got COVID and recovered within 3 days, better than she ever was, added that his activism has made him feel better, able to stand up to the government and take control of his life. The pandemic has tapped into a long-standing anxieties and let people band together in their searches for answers, experts say, whether about the disease or about immigration or about globalism or socialism or about any other boogaboos that have animated fringe movements in the past year. Pandemic created insecurity, while extremism offers a kind of certainty, Kruglansky said, especially now when the trust is low in government, in Congress, in science, in medicine, the church. There's nobody you can trust, so you trust your friends, your tribe. Extremists offer a black and white view. There's a culprit responsible for some evil plan to destroy the nation. They had a plan for restoration that will bring back greatness. They are... Believe it. Obey. You know that meme? Obey. Obey. Listen to them. Obey. You obey authority. You trust government. You trust the science that they shove down your throat. Don't trust the America doctors that came out and said, hey, we have an actually legitimate treatment. No. That's not science. Trust the government science that they shove down your throat. This is ridiculous. Oh, but here, it gets really good. Man, this is long. I got to skip ahead. I got to skip ahead to this delicious part. Ready for this? As a professional skateboarder, gamer, musician, and model, Krigler had developed an online following before the virus hit. Last year, when he shifted the content on his daily YouTube and Twitch shows, he mentions my Twitch show, which I just started 4 months ago. To focus on mask mandates and baseless allegations of a voter fraud, his audience mushroomed. My show didn't start until the pandemic hit. You guys realize this, right? This dude doesn't know me at all. He doesn't know what my show's about. He's an idiot. He's a clueless reporter just trying to reach out and make bad guys. I can handle myself. Write some BS about me, Washington Post, because the people out there, they probably don't like me already. If anything, you're making my show grow bigger, Washington Post. Thank you. Thank you for that. My show is not about mask mandates. I don't care about that. I think it's terrible. My body, my choice. Isn't that right? I mean, to each his own. I'm a libertarian in that sense. Do whatever you want to do. Hey, I'm going to wear a mask. I'll be a role model if you want me to. I wear a mask when I go to the store, when I go into any place, honestly. Like, I don't mind wearing a mask. I don't mind following the rules. I do it. I wear a mask when I go out. I want everyone else to do what they want to do. Krigler, who's 36, attributed his booming popularity. He now has nearly 200,000 YouTube subscribers due to the pandemic. Like and subscribe. People have a lot of times on their hands, he said. COVID put a lot of people on the internet more seeking community. I did say that, actually. And it's true. Because of everyone losing their jobs, because the Democrat government shutting down the economy, basically as a smack in Trump's face. Who are we kidding? That's really what it was about. It's all about control. Politically uninvolved for most of his life, Krigler, who lives in Maryland, tended to vote for Democrats. I voted one time for one Democrat, and that was Obama in 2008. So Democrats, plural, is wrong. But if asked what party he aligned with, I'd say, I don't know, because I didn't pay attention. I didn't care. Very true. That's true. He's right about that, actually. Krigler had been a frequent guest on his friend Tim Pool's online show. Whoa. I was never a guest on that show. I was a co-host. Him and I planned for 6 years to do a show together. And don't even get me started on that, because I was a co-host on that show, and we had an awesome show together. We had a good dynamic. We went back and forth. I think I intimidated him. Truth be told, this guy, I was never a guest. I'm not a guest. I'm a host. That's what I do. Mostly talking about pop culture. Then last summer, because of COVID and the riots, it became a political show, and I felt I was slacking, Krigler said. So I started to doing my own research. There's some truth right there. I was slacking. I admit when I am, not up to snuff. I like doing my research. I like owning up and being accountable for myself. All right? I like that. I like people who are accountable for their own actions. All right, but have the confidence to admit that they were wrong. They admit that they're slacking in certain ways and need to do some work, and then do that work. That's the most important step. Remember, you got to do the work. Well, I did the work. I started doing research. Oh, it gets great. His online explorations led Krigler to believe that the presidential election was stolen from Trump. When did I ever say that? When did I ever say that? I didn't say that in the interview. He didn't ask me about that in the interview. He just threw that in there. But he also says the Stop the Steal campaign, the summer's demonstrations against police brutality, and the nationwide protests against masks probably would not have happened or would not have drawn as much support if Americans had not been stuck at home. I actually didn't say that either. Again, this is more things that he's just adding to shift the context. He's just trying to shift the context. I didn't even talk about the Stop the Steal campaign. He didn't ask me about it. People weren't people just weren't used to being alone so much, he said. People want to belong. Okay. Yes, I said that. Of course, he placed it right there, so you would, of course, assume that I was talking about people wanting to join, extremist groups that, wanted to, I don't know, snap off. This guy clearly did not watch my show. Does not watch my show. Has no idea what my show's about. Doesn't have any clue about who I am, what I talk about here. You guys know. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about my show? Do you think this is an extreme show? Do you think I'm calling for extremism? If you do, you also don't watch my show. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, slander, I guess. I mean, could it be slander? I don't know. Someone just said, calm down, Adam. Oh, but you think I'm upset about this? No. This is proving my whole point about how the mainstream media shifts the context. They manipulate all these people out there that are reading their paper to believe what they want. You're not allowed to go against the narrative. You're not allowed to speak out. Look at Gina Carano. She was just speaking out, making comparisons, making people think critically, and they didn't like the way that she was doing it. It's ridiculous. How much time do we got? I can't get into that story. I want to. I'll talk about it tomorrow probably. But it is a good story. I really want to talk about space. All right, forget this Washington Post article. You think it's going to stop me? You think it's going to bring me down? You think I'm going to get all upset and stop doing my show? Washington Post. Bye-bye. You think I'll ever do an interview with you again? No. Hell no. Pardon my French, but absolutely not. No way. Mark Fisher, I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to do it. That's why I recorded the conversation. So I know exactly how you framed this. You think I wouldn't? He was actually rather nice on the phone. But, oh my goodness.